Hi friends, in Planet Earth Dating it's Friday, November 3rd, 2017. In both the Lynn life and the Jamie Body Mind, the authorized souls remain only child souls from the deeper, denser dimensions, and any other souls from any other dimension, as long as they are already participating in the assignments given to the Search for Truth community by wiser minds above all of us, participating in all the work that's necessary in order to complete those assignments, and already living by the Search for Truth rules given to the Search for Truth community by wiser minds above all of us. Often there is an assignment for the day. The assignment comes in the overnight preceding the day. This is common, and this has been a pattern. Somebody's arguing with that. This has been a pattern for decades, actually more than 2 decades now, is that in the overnight, there used to be a label, we would call it the overnight courier,
yeah, that's true,
would bring the assignment for the next day. Why are they arguing about this? What a bizarre thing to argue about. Why are you arguing about this? It scares them somehow, the idea that there's an assignment that comes in for each day. Well, if we can say, give us each day our daily bread, why wouldn't there be, give us each day our daily work? Do you hear any answer?
No.
Our very strong and consistent experience has been that there is work for every single day, and that often the assignments come in the preceding overnight.
That's true.
And I'm just going to have to ignore these arguers and acknowledge that it is my job to reach past them and reach higher. Which way is up? We see that the answer to the question of which way is up varies depending on how one defines the organism.
That's true.
And people are trying to argue that they should be the definition that counts. But the instructions to us by wiser minds above all of us are to relate to the largest organism we possibly can in defining which way is up. Which way is up for the planet of which we are all members in some dimension or another. All of us who are members of this planetary biosphere in some dimension or another. Up is north. Up is above the North Pole. I believe that we believe, I don't know who's speaking. It's a committee. They believe up to be the North Pole, and for that to mean the magnetic North Pole.
Yes, that's true.
Why do you ask? That's head opening.
Oh, that's true.
To continue, up is supposed to be defined as up above the head, the crown of the largest organism of which we can acknowledge that we are members of. And so obviously the galaxy, the universe, that part is easy, and that which is beyond the universe, and the larger multiverses, and the larger multiverses, etc., in a nested series of realities. And to relate to the largest reality we're able to, and when we do that, up seems to be about at 2 o'clock, between 1:30 and 2 o'clock on on an analog clock face.
Yes, that's true.
Why do you ask? Pump dead kids up, i.e. to up for the largest presence that we're able to connect with, and align with that presence, pushing off, using leverage to align. We, of course, are the ones who rotate. Back we come to the overnight assignment for this day, which seems to be to do what we can do right now in all dimensions to break the cycles of selfishness for all of us. What now, in order to break the cycles of selfishness for all of us? When there's a significant shift, significant enough to trigger a call-off response in a physical host life, that's a pretty significant shift just from asking the question, what now, in order to break the cycles of selfishness, strongly suggesting, and some might say proving, the current invading souls have selfishness as a strong issue.
That's true.
Why do you ask? Pump the bellows pump, intending to pump up the dry flakes of selfishness and to light them on fire, kind of like dry leaves, with the intention to have a forest fire of selfishness. And what do I know? Somebody's asking. I think they're referring to what we have, and I don't know who's speaking. I'm not clear on who's speaking.
That's true.
But whoever is speaking has a lot of sadness about the depth and degree of selfishness that exists in Ground Zero and all the dimensions that interweave closely enough with Ground Zero for the collective working out of these host lives to have recorded experience with.
Yes, that's true.
All what they're saying, say that in English. I think what you mean is say it more simply. That was English. It's a stilted language and we apologize for it. But it is the native tongue of the host lives. I'm sorry.
That's true.
More simply, English for dummies, we could say everybody's selfish, and all the dimensions that we have experience with and have been maintaining records about, everybody's still selfish. Why do you ask? No discernible answers, so we will simply send that question up as high as we can without attachment to receiving an answer today. And maybe it will come in the overnight. Maybe the answer will come in the overnight, or maybe the answer will come in the shower, or maybe the answer will come next week. We don't know when, but divine law that regulates interdimensional activities say that all questions that are asked with real curiosity are required to be responded to. And I have real curiosity about this question.
That's true.
And I now they're asking again, who's speaking? I'm sorry, I don't know the answer.
I don't know.
And I don't know who doesn't know.
That's true.
And I see what you're shining the spotlight on, and it was in February of 2012 when the original soul of this host life had completed her assignment and followed the instructions given to her by wiser minds above, the instructions being, and now get out of the body. And she did it, and good for her. She had to figure out how. It wasn't easy. That's not an easy assignment, to figure out how to get out of a healthy body that has no problems. And she did it just fine. And then there was a kerfuffle, because Gabriel had been the one upstairs who had requisitioned the life and required Malaya, the original soul, to leave. And at the last minute, even after it had been cleaned up for him, Ephraim cleaned up the host life energy body. Took about 2.5 weeks, and then it was ready for the turnover. And Gabriel changed his mind, quote unquote.
That's true.
And then there was a very long period of time during which the host life did not know who the soul was in the driver's seat. Could have been 2 years, maybe 2.5 years.
That's true.
Did not know. People would ask, and who's there now? And the answer was, I don't know. But it's a good person and someone who is working really hard. That part was clear.
That's true.
And that person was later identified, that soul was later identified as Asha. It had been Asha all along.
Why do you ask?
Why do you ask? In a very similar fashion, this person also feels like a good soul.
That's true.
And what difference does it make who it is? Maybe it's better to not know. Why would it be better to not know? Because there's no advocacy, there's no higher soul intervention.
That's true.
That presence seems to have been abandoned by his or her own string of higher souls. There's zero advocacy. It's not happening. The higher souls are not stepping up. Maybe it would break that person's heart if they were to realize, wait a minute, it's my own higher souls who aren't stepping up. I know, what do I know? I know when Asha saw that, that's when she lost hope and stopped working.
That's true.
It broke her heart. So it wasn't a gift. Maybe it would equally not be a gift for these people. Why do you ask? Maybe those are the higher souls. That's who I think it is. That's who I think it is. Shame on you. What now, in order to break the cycles of selfishness? We can crunch and juice and burn. It's very crunchy. It's not juicy.
That's
we can
true.
crunch and burn selfishness in ourselves. Crunching and burning selfishness in ourselves with the part of this collective that we relate to as me.
Oh.
Crunch and burn selfishness in myself. I don't want to be selfish.
I don't want to be selfish.
I see people acting selfish and it's so revolting. It's so revolting. I don't want any part of it. I don't want to be selfish.
I don't want to be selfish.
I really hate people. It's so sad because I used to like them so much.
That's true.
I used to think everybody was basically good, but I don't think that anymore. I think that people are horrifying, revolting, quite consistently horrifying and revolting. And everybody thinks that somebody else should be the one to take action to change it. But there isn't a magical person who's coming to fix this.
That's true.
Everything is poisoned and no one is coming to help. And now, what are each of us as individuals going to do to make it right? What now in order to break the cycles of selfishness? And we just crunch and burn it in ourselves. And the aspect of self who feels most like me. I don't want to be selfish. Somebody's trying to imply that when we say we don't like people, that we're talking about only planet Earth, ground zero humanoids. And I'm sorry, again, I still don't know who's speaking.
That's true.
The sloppy speech. That's not what we mean. We mean sentient presences in all dimensions.
That's true.
We've found very few who are willing to be unselfish, and there are exceptions to that. And we've found many exceptions, but they're all extremely short-lived.
That's true.
We refer to them as heroes. They're taking selfless, courageous actions on behalf of the greater good, and they come and go very briefly. Why do you ask? That opens up the crown.
That's true.
Thank you to the heroes who have yet to appear. Thank you to the heroes who already paid a price. And to you we say, the job's not finished, friends. I only know one soul who's consistently stepping up.
That's true.
Thank you, Pan.
Thank you, Pam.
Somebody's asking how he does it. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe sighting up to the highest presence we can connect with right now, who's taking selfless, courageous actions on behalf of the greater good.
Oh, let's do that. Oh, that's very head
That's
opening.
very head opening.
Sending this up to the highest presence we can connect with right now, who's taking selfless, courageous actions on behalf of the greater good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.